Trading Nut, episode 189.
Yeah, just disappointed in myself that I cannot stick to a certain strategy, that I was constantly adjusting, that I was like always going against my will. Like I knew deep inside, same with poker, I knew I shouldn't call this hand, but I still did it because, my ego got in the way. Same thing in trading. My ego got in the way. I felt that I was doing it, or I had like 2 or 3 trades, winning trades. I felt great. I felt euphoric. And I was like, you know what? It's going to be fine right now. And then you get wrecked. And then you fall into that negative spiral again. So I was doing everything I could to just get my mind straight, to go to the gym in the morning, to get clear, meditate, to then eventually just, making sure that I at least prove myself that I can do this consistently, no matter what the results were.
The market's going to do something. Your job is not to fight it.
The market never, ever runs away. It's always there.
That personal diary of trading will make you a much better trader than...
I could be right about the direction, but wrong about the trade.
Don't focus on the monetary side.
Trying to make too much money on a trade is what I have seen killed every trader.
Your losses offer you some of the greatest insight you can find into your mistakes.
Relax, learn the process.
Candlestick pattern trading is a freaking trap.
Don't be in a rush to become a millionaire.
Let the market tell you what the market wants to tell you.
This podcast is not financial, trading, or investing advice of any kind. What's up, traders? Welcome to another installment of the Trading Nut podcast. I'm your host, Cam Hawkins, and today we've got Lorenzo Corrado on the show. Now, Lorenzo's gone from poker to crypto and finally ended up in Forex and crypto. And look, 90% of his success came from being totally fed up. So you're going to find out why and what it was in the show that we're about to get into. Now, afterwards, we jumped on a price chart with Lorenzo and he walked through how he identifies an order block to get a 9R trade, amongst a number of other different things. There's so much you can learn from this particular video. You've got to check it out after listening to this. Other things coming up here on the show, we've got Tom Hugard here on the show next week in a 2-part series. This is an epically long and awesome episode, and hopefully will completely revolutionize your trading. So guys, that is coming up. So this guy's a high stake trader, so you've got to stay tuned for that. Other things happening here, we've got City Traders Imperium, our sponsors. They are running their 3rd trading competition where they're on the lookout for the best traders in the world that have passed funding challenges, won competitions. There's up to 400k up for grabs and a special prize for the winner. There's a link below the video to register for that. And go and check it out over there on citytradersimperium.com. And remember, if you're looking to automate anything, then my Robot Builders Club doors are still open. There's a bot in there for the month of August. If you want to get access to that bot, then jump on there. It trades the market open of the indices, stock indices. So if you guys are interested in that, then go and check out the Robot Builders Club. Links under the video for that as well. Enough from me. Let's get on with the show today with Lorenzo. As you'll know, as a trader, one of the biggest issues can be coming up with enough capital to make it worthwhile. Well, the good news is my sponsor, City Traders Imperium, have solved this problem for you. Their day trading and swing trading funding programs mean you can trade between 10,000 and 4 million in capital with up to 100% profit share. Yes, you get everything you make on the account. Plus, the folks at CTI have made it super stress-free, allowing you up to 6 months to pass the funding challenge, which means if life gets in the way, you can park things for a while and stick to your trading plan. To check them out, click the link in the description below or in the card above. All right, folks, here we are on Trading Nut. We've got Lorenzo Corrado here on the show, all the way over there in Bali. So welcome to the show, Lorenzo.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the invitation and the support.
Well, look, it's great to have you on because I've heard your story and the recommendation you got was fantastic. And I know you're sort of a trader that's been around for a while but has just jumped out and started going public with a few things. Probably because you were thinking, why not? Why not? I may as well. Now, let's start off, but before we get into all that sort of good stuff, we want to hear your story and how you got to where you are now. So do you want to start from the very beginning?
Yeah, sure, man. Thank you so much, my man. So I always had 2 very competitive parents. So like they were both already kind of entrepreneurs as well. But I always wanted to clarify that they never gave me any money whatsoever. They always said to me, like, you have to do it yourself. But the only thing that I got from a very, very young age was the inspiration. So, like, I always saw a certain lifestyle, always saw something, and I was like, there are different ways to get what you want, because I took my father as an example. He never really went to school, or never really had these like high level degrees, etc. And I was always I had the same personality type. I was never really that guy that performed very well into the traditional like education. And always I was seeking for alternative education, and therefore, trying out different businesses, etc. Until I realized that I like systems. So like I like things like, probability and everything in that sense as well. So sooner or later, somebody introduced me to poker, and I started to play poker full time, pretty much all the time. I went to the casino at a very young age, lying about my age, you name it, trying everything to get into the books there, and to just play whatever I could do. So all the money that I earned, I tried to make it in poker, or spend it in poker at least at the beginning, and try to evolve there better as a poker player. But from that moment, I really decided, or really understood, that probability, a game, is in many facets of life. So it's not only in poker, it has, it also is in trading, etc. But I didn't really understood trading that well until I got introduced in the crypto markets, of course, in 2017. And, I was super hyped, made a lot of money, and lost it all, pretty much like a lot of other people as well. But I'm very, very grateful that from this moment I got introduced into, the actual markets. And from there, I started to really focus on cryptocurrencies, and I'm trading cryptocurrencies as well, which is, of course, very, very difficult to do so. But over time, I managed to do this profitable. And then from that moment, I decided around 2 years ago that I moved to Forex as well, just because of the volume in the market, the difference between, Forex and crypto in general, and just the maturity in general. So that's pretty much my story. And awesome. I actually transitioned from poker to trading, and I never left. And so just going back to your poker days, I mean, like, were you making sort of enough to live off from your poker winnings? Well, it was very volatile. It was extremely volatile. I never really got the chance to create a stable income from it. However, I sometimes made a lot of money, and then I lost it all as well. It was high volatile, and but over time I managed to consistently at least live from it. Yes. Yeah. And were you one of these sort of online players, or were you trying to get into casinos? What was your sort of main access to it? I always felt that like live, I had something in like an actual live table that I just performed better over time. Either though I was more aware, or I was more patient, and I just, I always had better results there. But of course, I played tons and tons of online games as well, trying to beat the best, using all kinds of systems as well, add-ons, indicators, and you name it. Yeah. Essentially, I actually had I worked. Well, one of my employees when I was back working was he's from the States, and he lived in Phoenix, so he was quite close to Las Vegas. And I said, what was your background and stuff? He said, I was a poker player. And I was like, I couldn't get my head around it because he was quite a young guy. But he would, he basically paid for his education, his college education, through poker. And he would spend the summer in Las Vegas, sleep during the day, wake up like at the start of the evening, go find all the drunk Europeans. Or was it drunk Europeans or drunk people? Could be, whatever it was. He'd find the drunk people there, and then, that's what I was. He'd find the drunk people, play against them, and then go back to his apartment with his mates who were doing it as well, and then get online and play against the drunk Europeans. That was it. And make his money there. So he made some money, and another guy at the same company had done the same thing as well, paid his way through university through it. So well done. So it's great that it got you into trading, and crypto. Obviously, that big boom in 2017 hooked you as well. Can you sort of walk us through in a bit more detail as to like how you managed to go from this, like, I suppose poker playing, highly volatile income to more stable more stable trading income, and what were you doing that might have been different from other people? Yeah, you made a really good point there actually around the poker table, like around these drunk Europeans, etc. Because that's exactly how it was. It's like pretty much like if you don't know who the fish is on the table, then you're the fish, right? So it's pretty much, it has the same thing to do with trading as well. This is where the point I want to go to is if you don't know who the fish is in trading, then you are the fish as well. So therefore, it's the same thing with liquidity and everything around that, right? So we're going to go into the strategy later, but like, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. I didn't know I was the fish for a very, very long time until I realized I was the fish. So that's the moment when something snapped in my trading career, where I said, okay, how does the most retail trader trade, and how can we make sure that we need to belong to where our stop losses or their stop losses are as well, and like how can we adjust and like build a strategy around that. So that's pretty much how we started. But I pretty much started very, very similar, like everyone else, I think, in my journey, just simple trend lines. That didn't make sense whatsoever. I made all the mistakes along the way that you can make, really. I'm nothing special towards somebody else. I lost a lot of money also in the beginning, and it took a while for me to come back from it, until I just made that mind shift about, especially liquidity and hunting for liquidity in the markets.
Okay. So you say sort of you made the mind shift, and you obviously had that poker mind anyway, which would have helped, I'm guessing, from a and you like systems, so sticking to systems. So you migrated from trend lines which weren't working to where'd you go from there? Yeah,
I just started every single thing. I started to go to all kinds of scalping strategies using the moving average. I started to go for more swing trade opportunities, swing trade strategies, etc. I tried so many different strategies out, but the problem with me was that I was constantly adjusting my strategy without properly testing it, like one by one, right? So I did not like do 10 or 20 or 30 different trades. No, I did like 1 to 5 trades. Oh no, this is not working, and then I moved on, right? So my conclusion personally is that there is not really a wrong or right strategy, if you have not properly tested it before as well. So that's pretty much the conclusion. Yeah.
So you obviously got to the point where you tested the full strategy, or that you were using. How did that go, and what did you discover?
You mean the strategy that I'm using right now?
Well, the strategy you're using, or something close to it, that got you to what you're doing now. Yeah.
So no. It actually became first with like pure mindset. So like I'm just saying like 90% is mindset, and I truly believe in that, because there was a point where I was so tired of myself that I was like, okay, now I'm gonna stick with a certain strategy, and I'm gonna like really pursue the strategy 100 times, and whatever happens. But I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna test 100 trades out. I'm not back testing, no, actual like live trading. And this was actually the moving average strategy, where I used the 50 and 20 moving average, I believe, on the 1 hourly. And I just, started to look for, the reversal right there, and then eventually combine it with an RSI divergence. That's pretty much the strategy I was using. And it was working. But it was so boring. It was nothing like special. I didn't still understood the psychology of the markets, etc. I was just using that indicator in combination with another indicator, and I purely based my trading on that, and it became a little bit, not that exciting over time. So that's pretty much the reason why I wanted to adjust. And
And what sort of things were you doing to, like, I suppose, hold yourself to account around that particular strategy, so that you could do 100 trades without, because you're saying it's boring, right? So how do you stick to 100 trades doing the same thing, which is boring as hell, which when you think about it, and, from a mindset point of view, most people are going to struggle to even do that.
Yeah. A lot of pain, my friend. A lot of pain, a lot of suffering. I think this is the place where you realize you have to stick with what you got, and if you don't do it, you're gonna lose anyways. So
And what was the pain? What was the pain? Where was the pain being felt? Like, from what? Give us an example of that.
Just disappointed in myself that I cannot stick to a certain strategy, that I was constantly adjusting, that I was like always going against my will. Like, I knew deep inside, same with poker, I knew I shouldn't call this hand, but I still did it because, my ego got in the way. Same thing in trading. My ego got in the way. I felt that I was doing it, or I had like 2 or 3 trades, winning trades. I felt great. I felt euphoric. And I was like, you know what? It's going to be fine right now. And then you get wrecked. And then you fall into that negative spiral again. So I was doing everything I could to just get my mind straight, to go to the gym in the morning, to get clear, meditate, to then eventually just, making sure that I at least prove myself that I can do this consistently, no matter what the results were.
Yeah, I think you made a very, very good point there and it's 3 words, and I think this is something that everyone's should be taking away.
Yeah.
It was, you're going to do it anyway. Right?
Exactly.
You know that you shouldn't do it, but you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah,
Why the hell are you going to do it anyway? It makes no sense, right?
Exactly.
When you've already said to yourself, no. So when you're going through your 100 trades with this RSI moving average strategy, how did you sort of counteract that I can see this, I'm going to do it anyway kind of mentality? You talked about meditation there. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So whenever I got the trigger, I was making sure that there was no signs of me personally looking for instant gratification. So this is the main source of the problem, was that I was looking for trades that I was supposed to look for, right? So I was making sure that this was out of the way first, and that I was not looking for that. So therefore, the gym was very, very important. And this is what I preach also in our community right now that I'm just started, is that physical exercise is extremely important, not just for the looks of your body, etc., but just to get a clear mind, or some sort of exercise, right? At least can be meditation or whatsoever, but at least something that gives you these endorphins, these dopamine levels to your hormone balance to ground zero, so you can exactly make sure that you're not looking for this instant gratification. Because I think unconsciously you're looking for that dopamine shot, that winning trade, that like, yes, I made it happen, at the gambling mindset way of trading. And if you can remove that completely and you can detach yourself from that, well, with some meditation, with some practical exercise, then I highly recommend everyone to do so. And
so I suppose time frame probably has a lot to do with this in terms of how if you're sitting there waiting for a MACD and a moving average and an RSI to match up, you on a 1 hour chart, you're probably thinking, I might have to set an alert here because this is going to take a while. I mean, what time frame were you working on at that point?
Most of the time, the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and the 30-minute time frame. That was the most. And actually, it worked completely fine. However, like I said, it was not satisfying over time, because I feel I was not learning the psychology behind the markets and why people go long here, why people get wrecked here, etc. I was not learning anything about it. So I felt I was not improving over time. And I feel this is one thing in trading you always want, is that you always want to look for improvements, right? And this is something that that I just didn't want to pursue anymore.
And so how did you move on from that and start? Well, first of all, where did you get your education from for understanding how the markets are moving? Let's go with that one first.
Yeah, so I had a really, really good friend of mine that I met along the way here in Bali. He improved my game a lot around 2.5, 3 years ago. This is exactly when I started to become profitable as well, is by taking him as an example, because he has an opposite kind of character as me. So he's very calm, he's very relaxed. I have more of an impulsive, mindset in things. I want to do things straight away. When I'm excited about it, I want to, I can potentially build on hype, where he is very, very logic, very, very, relaxed about everything. He want to make sure that everything makes sense in every form, every way. So I kind of, followed his footsteps along the way. So I learned a lot from him personally. And of course, on YouTube, just scrolling, going through a lot of different guys as well, trying to educate myself there. I was in the crypto community for a very, very long time. So it was actually very hard to find the guys that I was looking for. But the moment I went to Forex, I met a lot of dudes that I was really, really inspired by. And that helped me out tremendously over time. Yeah.
And your friend in Bali, was this someone you'd known before Bali, or did you meet them over here? And how on earth did you meet somebody who's trading for a living in Bali?
I pretty much met him when I came to Bali at first place. And, he's a poker player as well. And this is pretty much how it went. So eventually he went from poker and transitioned to trading as well at the same time. So we kind of have a similar background. However, he was even more professional than me in poker. He was actually going to, play poker live in China and that kind of stuff. So he went really, really deep. So I took him as an example in many, many things, many layers as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you say you sort of moved into Forex and you found the people that you're after. I mean, what can you sort of give examples of this? Like, what kind of stuff were they doing, or who were they? Or is this can other people find these same people, or was it difficult?
I think everyone can find these type of people. I can give you guys one example how I ended up in Bali as well. For example, the moment I made some money, I was intrigued by traveling. Like, first of all, and I don't recommend it to everyone, but like the moment I had some money, I was like, I'm going to go to Bali. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I had this like complete travel lifestyle in my mind where I just played poker or I was trading, and I was just, traveling the world along the way. And what I learned from it is that perspective is extremely important. So whenever I was only living in the Netherlands, even though that I, had a pretty like open-minded mindset and stuff, I really wanted to, I was learning along the way. I knew that I would meet the right people while I was traveling. And if you go and travel for a reason, and that is to meet other like-minded individuals like you will find them along the way while traveling. So investing in traveling is never a wrong idea to do so. And I think this is the best thing I could have ever done in my life personally, to travel, spend my money on traveling, not just only to party, but also just to meet like other entrepreneurs, other like guys that are just starting out in the entrepreneurship, the digital nomad lifestyle pretty much, and to pursue and build networks around these people as well.
And when you say like you got a bit of money, I mean, how much are we talking here that sort of got you like, oh, right, now I'm going to do my traveling?
Literally like 10, 20 grand, like, which is still a lot of money, of course, for a lot of people. But, I mean, this is what helped me alive for a few months. And whenever I was broke again, I'll try to make it happen. If I couldn't, I went back to my country and started the same thing over again. So I always felt that I had a backup plan. I just went home and just started again from there. But the goal was actually to, get up a full base, like let's say $10,000 whatsoever. I don't know how much it costs. Can be less for a lot of people as well. Go to somewhere, try to live as cheap as possible, build out your network. And then if you cannot make it, just go back and repeat the same thing over again until you can do the same thing again. And
essentially,
we did this a couple of times until I actually stayed here and was able to afford to stay here. So
okay. Essentially, because I used to work for a Dutch bank, and so I knew a lot of Dutch people. And what I sort of found really interesting was that these guys tended to get a job out of university or school, and that was it. They were at the same company for the next 40 years. They retire, and was that sort of typical? And how is it that you managed to break out of that mold? Because I'm guessing a lot of your friends are probably in that same mold.
That's a very good question. So I think personally the reason is because I never really performed that well on school. And that was just purely because of, I think, my character. I was still very energetic and young. I had a very young mindset until a very late age. So I was always very playful, never took everything really serious. I saw my father, I saw my mother. I was like, if they don't need it, then I don't need it. I had that mindset. So already from a very young age, I didn't felt the actual connection. These guys were talking about university, how cool it was to go to university, to be in a club, a member student club right there, and just, to meet these other guys, and like, and I never was with that. So I think this already from a young age gave me the, I think that was the difference for me personally to already detach myself from a young age and to pursue a different role in life.
And can I ask, without diving too personally, but what your parents, this sort of, you've talked about the entrepreneurial stuff, were they business owners, or were they, how did they sort of get into that space?
So my mother was owned a relatively small business as a consultant, and my father had a bigger company, a bigger like wholesale factory as well. He was producing for a lot of big brands as well, their products, and he does some white labeling, etc. And I took him as definitely as an example in many different ways. So I saw what he was doing, and even though he was hammering on my student degree as well, but I just could not do it. I just couldn't.
Right. So even though he was pressuring you, you decided that no, I'm not going to go. Well, that takes some guts. So okay, right, brilliant. So look, how did you transition from that? So you've got your education now. How do you transition from that to and migrating from something that has essentially broken the back for you, this RSI MA strategy to something that's more like, here's how the actual market works versus here's what the indicators are saying? How do you transition? How do you make that transition?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So, at the particular moment in my life, I've met another guy, and he was a very young dude, very intellectual, and he's a full-time trader as well. And the way he explained the market in general, the way he just articulated the market, explained it, everything is fractal. It's all the same thing. We have patterns in patterns, we have charts in charts, and he explained it in so logical way, and it made so much sense that I was like, hey, yeah, I mean, a game changer right there. This is exactly what I was looking for. So started to dive deeper, and then I came around a concept which is called smart money concept. This guy is called ICT trading. And
he's been on the show, yeah.
Oh, he's been on the show. Okay, wow.
A long time ago, a few years ago.
Yeah, amazing dude, amazing way. I don't know him personally, but amazing how he explained everything. Got very, very inspired by that. It's not the actual strategy I'm using. It's partly what I'm doing right now. But I took it as an example, definitely, absolutely. Went to a few other guys as well. And I just formulated something, and I combined a few different layers with each other, a few different strategies with each other. And I felt that I kind of created my hybrid version of that. So,
And what gave you confidence in this new hybrid version other than the education?
Pretty much that, I was just testing things out, and it made a lot of sense, and it worked. And I sticked with it over time. And then that's pretty much how it went. Nothing special, just by testing it out. And just seeing it by myself working. So that's pretty much how it is.
And so did your level of boredom drop?
Sorry, what's that, my man?
Did your level of boredom through trading drop?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. And so how did that...
Absolutely.
What can you explain sort of why it was so much more exciting now that you'd changed what you were doing?
Yeah, so if you understand the psychology behind why people, what is happening in the chart, and you can explain it in a way, actually in kind of a storyline, then it's way more exciting already in first place. It's just you understand way more what's happening, and you feel that you're being part of, an actual story rather than just some front end, red candle, green candle, and whatever it is, right? You see exactly what's happening, or you try to understand what's happening. And if you look at it from that perspective, you see, that's why this is happening. That's why that is happening. Now it makes more sense. So that's why I'm doing this. And if it then works out, it gets you really exciting in a very normal way, but it gets you really exciting, knowing that, things are playing out in the way you thought it would play out.
Yeah. So basically, you are not the fish in the room anymore. You're the
I'm
shark.
trying. I'm still trying. I really want to address this very, very importantly. That's whenever we talk about it in a certain strategy, also for the community that we're building right now, is that strategies will always change, right? When the majority will adapt to that particular strategy, or when let's say retail investors go from this concept to that concept, then the markets will, of course, automatically adapt as well. So I always want to notice or explain, guys, that I'm always looking to adapt whenever is needed, and that I will never use one particular strategy, even though I'm using a strategy right now that's working. I think it's very, very important to stay sharp as well. And whenever we need to change something, that this is something that we are, are always looking out for.
Yeah. Also, I mean, the turtle traders, their strategy no longer works. What got them there
exactly.
won't work for you guys. So, what about how was your risk to reward on the RSI versus what you're doing now? What was the difference between the two?
Yeah, so the RSI mainly, I was also always aiming for 3-to-1 trades, pretty much. Just because if I had a 1 correct out of 3 trades, I broke even. So my goal is always to get 2 out of 3 correct. And that worked very, very well. But now I'm actually looking for 1-to-5, sometimes even higher, because of an actual scalability trade. So we can go over that later as well. But I'm trying to build up my lot size over time, and build up my trades pretty much. So while risking the same thing. So this is pretty much what I do sometimes right now to increase even my risk reward ratio over time. But keep my risk on a rather similar level. Yeah.
Folks, I've got a special announcement today, which you'll want to listen to if you've ever gone through a prop firm funding challenge with the likes of my sponsors, City Traders Imperium, or for that matter, Funded Next, FTMO, the Funded Trader, My Forex Fund, or the Fivers. It doesn't matter. Right, let's get into it. So, City Traders Imperium have just opened registrations for their third trading competition, which is going to be bigger and better than the first two. Now, get this, they're looking for the best trader who's performed consistently with any prop firm, and they're looking for the best traders to compete for the number one spot. Plus, there's going to be 400k up for grabs, and CTI are putting up a special prize for the winner, which they'll be announcing very soon. So to get involved, simply click the link below the video to register if you've passed a funding challenge in the past, or won any previous competition, not just the Trading Nut Funded Cup, or made 10% or more in any previous competitions. So if you want the title of the best trader in the world, make sure you register for this comp today, or share this video in your Telegram or Discord groups if you know any traders you think have a chance at that top spot. So folks, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing whose name pops up at the top of that leaderboard. And in terms of like funding your accounts and I suppose your lifestyle in Bali here, which, you know, is a country which is a lot cheaper than most countries in the Western world, for example. I mean, how did you? What was your sort of like, you know, growth in terms of account capital and that sort of thing?
Well, pretty significant because of course in crypto, like everything went really fast. Like we picked out the last bull run as well in cryptocurrency, and that was just like, it was unbelievable how fast things went from there. And then eventually moving to Forex, we realized that the compound effect is actually where I'm really doing it for. So that means that, literally, let's say you go from 5 figures to multiple 6 figures in a very short time. But then now, from this moment, I could say that if I focus on making 5% a month consistently, and I reinvest this capital over time, and I increase my lot size based on the new capital I have, now the compounding effect is very big. So I'm trying to focus fully on the compounding effect right now, and trying to scale this up.
And so do you like make regular withdrawals from this when you're trying to compound as well?
I try to do as less as possible. I have multiple sources of income. So this is what I explain also to my community a lot right now at the beginning of my streams. I say always like trading is like, it's just for generating cash flow, right? Cash flow is king. So whenever I generate cash flow, I can invest, let's say 20% into my personal expenses, etc. But I don't need that personally because I have an alternative source of income. I have some actual physical businesses here in Bali as well, where I invested here, providing some jobs here as well, which is really fulfilling for me. And of course, we have a lot of tourists here, so there are a lot of opportunities here as well in many different ways. So yeah, I try to live from these expenses right there, or from these profits, and I try to reinvest everything from trading back into other investors, mainly into personally cryptocurrencies as well for the long term. So like I try to use it as that. And partly, of course, compounding my account.
And can you give us an example of one of the businesses you've invested in or created? I guess have you invested in them or created them?
Well, it's nothing special. We actually invest in motorbikes and cars right there. So we buy cars secondhand, pretty good quality cars and bikes right there, and we rent them out to tourists, and then we give the guys that are managing it, the locals, 25% commission based on that. So based on this we can cool. It's really scalable as well. And it's not like trading, but it definitely gives you enough capital to work with, to live from, etc.
So basically if you're heading to Bali and need a car, actually my brother's heading over there in a month. I'll get him to hit you up afterwards, and we'll find out what the name of the company is.
Whatever you need, man. Whatever he needs. No worries. We got him.
Right now, okay. Let's jump into some of the regular questions here. So around your trading now, I mean, what timeframes do you focus on?
That's a very good question. So it totally depends. I can start on the weekly and end up taking my trades on the 1 minute if I have to. if I'm looking for any confirmations whatsoever. However, I tend to use the 1 hourly, the 4 hourly the most still over time to see where our current trend lays. Yeah.
And how many trades would you take in, say, for example, a week?
It can be quite a lot. Sometimes it can be, well, not a lot, but like in terms of using the strategy, it can be quite a lot. But in general, I feel, and I want to highlight this as well, I think less is more in many different ways. Less is more because I'm just sometimes even overthinking, maybe still, but I'm trying to bring as many confluences together as possible in many different layers. So yeah, we can go over it later as well. But I'm using the Fibonacci. I'm using imbalances, liquidity, currency indices. Then we have the London, New York Open, the manipulation that happens there. And I'll try to bring everything together. And then based on that, I see if it actually makes sense for me to enter. So automatically I filter out a lot of trades.
And if anyone's sort of wondering what Lorenzo does on the charts, he's got some epically long 8-hour live streams that have just been going for, what was it, about the past month or so? Probably 2 months, maybe?
The last 2 weeks.
Oh, last 2 weeks. Sorry, the last 2 weeks. Yeah, you only started it 2 weeks ago. So epically long 8-hour streams where he's just going through everything. So, yeah, this is where you need to go after the show, is check that out, but probably watch the video we shoot afterwards quickly before you jump in. Now, what about winning percentage?
Like I said, I'm trying to go for, like between 5 and 10 hour trades. So I'm going for the big R's. And the reason why personally is because then I can afford myself to look for similar setups over time. And let's say I'm looking for the 10 hour trades on average. Like I can have a lot of trades wrong. And this is what I'm trying to explain a lot of guys also when I'm trading live, for example, and I make a trade that's not going correctly. I'm explaining guys, listen, over time we're going to make it happen because even if I would have 2 out of 10 trades correctly with the same setup, then I would make money, right? That means that if I have 8 trades wrong and I have 2 correctly out of 10 trades, and I will be profitable. Yeah. So if you understand that, and if you understand risk management in that kind of way, and you can look for the similar setups right there, definitely it's a game changer in my personal belief from there.
And do you cap it at 10R, or do you sometimes go for more if things are working out?
Yeah, absolutely. So like, let's say I kept it on a 5R, but we build it out sometimes to 10R and sometimes even more. And it totally depends on how we get a confirmation. So whenever we see an actual execution of our trade and we have a beautiful entry and we come back up again to hit another area, a point of interest, and we fail again to break that level, let's say we're shorting and we're coming back down again, this is the moment where we can scale up our trade position without risking the same amount. So therefore, it can go on for a while. I mean, there was a time when I had 7 or 8 trades in a row from one particular position. Like, this is pretty much how we can build out our position as well to scale up our risk-to-reward ratio, but risking the same thing. So it totally depends. It's hard to find it, but if you find it, it's highly profitable over time. But sometimes I go for very, very easy trades as well with the system. Very, very easy, like 5-1. That's it. Out and next, go to the next trade as well. So it totally depends on what we're seeing in the market.
And are you primarily limit orders or stop orders?
Primarily limit orders. No, I never really use stop orders. No.
And sorry, I should have said all market orders is probably the other one. What about the number of instruments that you trade? How many symbols and what are they?
Well, I got my basic list. I trade a lot of Forex pairs, the indices and gold, and and the US oil, UK oil, and that's pretty much it. So I like to trade the British pound against the dollar, Japanese yen. I don't know why, but it's just been working the best so far. No particular reason for that, but in general, whatever happens, whatever I see, I take. Pretty much. So there is not really nothing that I exclude from it or whatsoever. Everything that we are allowed to trade, we trade.
Awesome. And from a crypto point of view, I mean, what realm of sort of, because obviously there's thousands of them. Where do you cap your crypto list? What's your sort of list of cryptos that you'll go to?
Very, very good question. So mainly Bitcoin, Ethereum, just the main pairs, just because of the volume that's been traded there has been the most reliable for me as well. And because everything is correlated to Bitcoin anyways, mainly, it makes the most sense to trade Bitcoin for me personally as well. To not just get confused in what's actually happening in Bitcoin, and then take that in consideration. So.
And what about like your typical trading day? Can you walk us through how that all sets up from woe to go, including in like anything you do with these other businesses and stuff?
A day in the life of Lorenzo Corrado.
Basically,
So we wake up. Most of the time, I'm with my son. Take some time for my son. Play around with him a little bit. Maybe go for a walk sometimes. Then I go to the gym. Pretty much very, very similar in the afternoon. And because I'm living in Bali, Indonesia, of course, we're living in the Asian session, right? So whenever it's 3 p.m. here, this is the moment when the London actually opens. So this is when we see the London opening. And so it gives me a lot of time in the morning to just, do whatever I want to do and then to trade the London Open most of the time whenever I see a setup. And just before the London Open, I look at all the charts. And from there, I see if I see actually something that I can use. And then most of the time we stream right now at the New York session. So that's pretty much a full day there.
And you are literally on there for... What time do you go to bed in the end? Because it must be quite late, or...
Yeah, like 2, 3 a.m. Around about sometimes. Yeah. Pretty long days, but... we're living in a community-driven society, so everything we do right now is community-driven, and you have to make some sacrifices for that.
Yeah. And do you struggle when it gets like after midnight kind of thing? Are you sort of struggling with awareness, focus, that sort of thing?
Well, if you look at my streams, you definitely see that I'm more energetic at the beginning of the stream than at the end of the stream. But 100% I get less awareness, so I'll try to stay as focused as possible. But 100%. I cannot deny that. I have to be careful with trading in the late hours. Absolutely.
Yeah. And how many hours sleep do you get on a typical day?
Well, pretty much around I still get my 8 hours of sleep. 7-8 hours of sleep. Absolutely.
Okay, so you're sort of waking up at 11 a.m. kind of thing versus
10, 11, and then play with my child a little bit, and then go to the gym and then start trading. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, what about if there was a retail trader out there you met, and you're saying, look, here are the steps I recommend you take. What would they be to get them growing an account?
I would suggest to not over pursue your risk, even though it's a small account. I think this is just the best you can do in order to get a good fundamental layer for your own trading. Because I personally believe that if you start to taking dramatic amount of risk, in the end you will get wrecked no matter what, and you have to start over again, or you get extremely lucky. I mean, I've seen some crazy flips over time, also YouTube, so don't get me wrong. But if you want consistent profits and you want to really build your strategy out and you want to improve as a trader, then I highly recommend you guys to just go for the 1% risk, and then try to maybe scale it up when you re-enter a position, and to see if you can do it from there. Yeah.
Okay. So risk is this the foundation of everything. Don't get that wrong.
Because I think actually the money you make is not really relevant until you do what you do and you know what you're doing in terms of trading. So you don't even have to look at the amount of money you make. In my personal belief, I think it's really about what is the RR you make over time, and where do you base your trades on, and how do you perform and execute them on a daily basis.
Now, what about looking at a price chart? You're saying to this this newbie trader, hey, go and focus on these 3 things. What would they be?
I would suggest focus on one particular strategy, execute them many times, stick with it, and risk management is of course the second one as well. I think it's the most important thing to focus on. And the third one is maybe the most important. Whenever you start out trading and you feel all your emotions, write these emotions down and do exactly, write down what you actually feel when you pursuing a trade that you didn't want to do in the end, but you still did it. You knew deep inside that you shouldn't have making that trade, but you still did it because you you didn't want to miss out or whatever. Explain your emotions and reflect with that. Like reflect, be your own, psychologist, and try to reflect purely on what you, what you're experiencing from the inside out. So not from actual like trading, like, results, etc., but actually just whatever you feel whenever you were trading.
Yeah. Well, what I like about that answer is the fact that you didn't answer the question, and you're probably the first guest that hasn't answered it, but the way you answered it is probably the correct way to answer it in terms of it's not about the strategy, it's not about what's on the charts. It is to a certain degree, but it's about getting everything else right first, and then what's on the actual strategy, you can sort that out later. Whereas everyone else is like, straight, what is the strategy? How are we going to make this thing? What's the killer strategy? It ain't it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I personally believe that like there are many good strategies out there that work. So, but I've seen many people also using a working strategy, knowing everything about the market and still losing money. Then you have to ask yourself the question, why is that they cannot make the money by using the perfect strategy? Well, that is of course then because of their inner, whatever they're personally experiencing, and this is what you try to overcome first.
Yeah, and the fact that you sort of mentioned there, like, writing down how you feel, reflect on it, that's the biggest part that nobody does, right? No. And that's the clincher. Now, talking about that, what about mindset? Have you got any special techniques or hacks or something you can share that might get somebody's mindset on point around that sort of reflection and that sort of thing? Because I think you've talked about, meditation, go to the gym, get your body right to fix your mind. What about reflection and around that?
Like what I can recommend or explain, guys, is that and this is what I also do in our community as well, is that it's very, very important to understand that you're not always there. Like consciously not always there. Sometimes your unconscious behavior takes over, and this comes from either like seeking for, again, instant gratification, or something that wants you to gamble, wants you to trade deep from the inside. It could be something from the past that you take with you, and it always reflects onto trading. Okay, there are many personal layers involved that needs to be solved first before you can actually look at the charts and actually start trading the right way. And the main thing that I can recommend you to initially solve that is already to just go to the gym or do something, it could be sports or any like physical exercise to just, give yourself the dopamine and the endorphins in your body. So, when you start trading that you're not looking and hunting for that instant gratification and therefore not making unnecessary mistakes. That you don't need to do. So I think this is crucial in trading to understand that you are not always who you think you are while you're trading.
Yeah. And look, guys, my hint here, and I did say I was going to do a video for my members about my sort of prep for a London session later on in the day, but I didn't, and I'm going to tell you what it is now. It's I will jump in a cold shower for a couple of minutes. And if I can't, usually I'll try and get to the gym, but if I can't, then that's what I'll do. And I'll tell you what, if anything's going to wake you up and give you endorphins, that is, however miserable it is, the first few seconds. Right, now, let's, first of all, the last question before we sort of jump into a quick fire round and wrap up here. If there was one thing you recommend a retail trader spend the next month mastering, what would it be, and how could they go about doing it?
I think personally the best thing you can do is to actually look for a solid community out there. I think it's good to get triggered by a lot of other guys on a daily basis consistently as well, and just to surround yourself with people that have the same mission in life, that wants to achieve the same goal, which is in this case, for example, trading, or and you have to understand why you want to do this. So is it just because you want to make a lot of money, which could be a good reason for somebody, whereas for somebody else it is taking care of your family, and really come down to your why. So understand your why first and focus on why you're going to do it. And sometimes it takes more than a day to understand why you actually want this. And if you want to focus on, go back to yourself, find a community-driven, organization or whatever that can help you provide, constantly the information that you need. And Yeah, I think it's great to be around people that have the same passion for, what you are looking for, what you are doing. And whatever it is in life.
Is that part of the reason that you decided to create your own community, because you were sort of wanting that as a
absolutely
release kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah. So like I never looked for some sort of community out there, and I always missed it in the end. And the moment I was there with trading, I was making consistent profits. I was like, you know what? It would be great to build a community around this for people, completely free as well, where people can join, where people can share their ideas, share their charts, kind of get a hierarchy in there as well, so they get really triggered to perform and to improve themselves without really knowing it as well, and just to kind of create that structure within that platform to just give them the opportunity to become a very, very good trader, but taking examples from the people that are already doing it. That's the main thing, and this is the main reason why I created this. Honestly, I have to say it went so natural, my man. It went so natural. I was not planning to do this at first, but because the live stream was picking up, I was like, you know what, let me just create it. And the first day after I created the Discord channel, there were 500 people in there. I was like, what's happening?
How on earth did it? Sorry, how on earth did you get 500 people in your Discord after the first day? Or was that after the live streams had started? Was it, or
after the live streams were started? Yeah.
Okay,
so
right.
I was
Okay,
live
so the
streaming
people
first,
were waiting.
and then maybe like at my fourth live stream, I opened my Discord channel, and in the first day we had 500 people in the Discord channel. And it was like, I could not believe what I saw, and from there it just. It just grew, and right now we have a lot of commitment guys in there reaching out to me. The amount of people that are sending me private messages as well, sharing their life stories, and like it's truly fulfilling and inspiring as well.
Awesome. Yeah. That's brilliant. Because we spoke before the show that I asked Lorenzo how his YouTube channel had gone, because the guy Business Beyond, thank you very much for recommending Lorenzo. It's he said, this guy's YouTube has only been around for 2 weeks, but he's already got 4,500 subscribers, and all through that. And so I checked it out, and I was like, this is crazy. So you started off with 2 or 3 people watching, and then on day one, and then now there's how many people watching? Like maybe 700 or something, or
no, it's
150 at a time.
It's somewhere around 200 and 400 people.
Yeah.
But what I was really shocked about is that like some people, and this is like amazing, are sticking with me from the beginning. I'm doing very, very long streams, right? From like some 5-hour, 6-hour streams.
Seriously?
They stick it from the beginning till the end. So my amount of concurrent viewers, like, it's extremely high. So like I have a lot of respect for them watching for 5-6 hours straight. Yeah. Constantly chatting, and it's incredible.
That is mad. Now, all right, let's get into this quick fire round and then wrap this thing up. How long did it take you to go from newbie to consistently profitable?
I suggest around 3 years, 2.5 years of suffering, like hustling my way through, making money, thinking that I got it, then losing it all. I think it took me around 3 years personally to be where I am today. And over the last 2 years, I've improved again. However, it could have been way earlier. It could have been way earlier if I approached it the right way, and not the way I personally did.
What's your favorite entry setup?
That's very good. This is what I mentioned a lot in the community. Is I always call it consolidation, expansion, retracement, filling up the imbalance and inefficiency. So, I look for consolidation areas. I look for massive expansion, aggressive move down, to then retrace back up, coming back into that area of consolidation, and to then use a few different tools to determine where I would enter from.
Cool. Makes sense to me. Hopefully you guys get it. And we're going to jump on a video anyway, and you're going to see it in action. What about strategies to exit or manage trades?
To exit trades or manage trades? Yeah. In general. So I think it's important to adjust or to address that I'm always looking at day by day or hour by hour once I'm entered my trade. So the market can always turn. There can always be something occurring So I personally do not stick with just leaving it once I'm in. I'm trying to manage my trades accordingly based on the results. But that takes a lot of practice and takes a lot of time because it's easy to get, fooled out of the market and then still continue to drop or continue to go up again. So I really created some sort of structures for myself where it's an easy yes or no for me to exit or to stay in the trade and to manage from there. But I'm looking at hour by hour, minute by minute, and I'm not, just leaving it right there. However, when I enter, first of all, and I put my stop loss, I never change my stop loss. So this is very, very important to mention as well, because this is how I lost the most money at the beginning, is by, changing my stop loss over time. When things are not going in my right direction, then saying, you know what, no, it's actually going to go here. I just saw it wrong at the beginning, so I just have to put it a little bit higher, and then it's just going to go, not there, and then it's getting there, and then, oh no, it's this one. And then I do this 3 or 4 times, and before you know it, I lost 5 times more than initially wanted. So, yeah, I make sure that my stop loss stays where it is, no matter what I do.
Yeah, accepting that risk. Now, what about a recommended trading book or resource?
Like a log file. Yeah, I'd always recommend, or like an actual trading book.
Yeah, a book or some kind of resource. I mean, obviously your channel's probably going to be a great resource, but something else.
So to be honest, I'm personally not the right guy for that. I personally never was really a reader. I was always a listener. So I always watched like a lot of like YouTube videos, people explaining psychology, movies, and I try to simulate what I see rather than what I read. So I have a very good friend of mine. I'm very, very close with him. He's focusing a lot on macroeconomics. He can recommend a ton of books there. So we're going to open a certain university as well where we're going to release a lot of that. But I'm personally not the guy for that, so I would not give you an honest answer if I would.
That's all good. Yeah, that's all good. Do you want to walk us through your worst ever trade?
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. So that's very funny that you asked this question. So my worst ever trade was my dollar cost averaging. So like I started to understand the concept of dollar cost averaging at the beginning for the first time. And especially in cryptocurrency, this was DCA, like DCA. I heard it all the time, everywhere. I never applied it. Yeah. And once I started to realize, wow, this is a game changer, right? If I just keep buying, then no matter what over time, I'm gonna make money because like it has to come back at some point, right? So I kept buying and I kept buying and I kept buying, and at a certain point, there was nothing left to buy anymore, and it kept going down. So pretty much this was my worst ever trade in history. I managed to survive that trade by then at the last moment opening a hedge short as well to just get rid of my liquidation price. But then I constantly had to adjust my hedging to make sure that I do not get liquidated, and it was just painful, and it was a process of months in a row where I was stuck in a position losing a lot of money.
I understand the pain. Now if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice, what would it be?
Follow one particular strategy first and test it out 100 times. So do not change a single thing until you have tested this strategy out 100 times. And the reason why is because if you adjust because you feel it's not working for you, if you have 3 or 4 trades that were not working for you in a row, and you're adjusting your strategy, you have no idea what you're adjusting, if you were actually right with the adjustment. And therefore, if you keep adjusting, you will fail over time. So stick with a certain strategy for a very, very long time, then adjust a minor thing, tweak something, and then do it again, and then do it again until you narrow down your strategy. And this is why you cannot be profitable from the beginning, because you have to take time, you have to adjust and tweak your strategy before you narrow down, exactly what you want and what fits your personality the best. So, test before you tweak.
Awesome. Great advice. Look, before you wrap up, what's the best way for the traders to get hold of you?
Well, firstly, you can go to my YouTube channel. It's my name is Lorenzo Corrado. I'm keeping my name completely transparent. This is who I am. You can find me there. I will do everything live. I'm training live as well. We're actually doing a live challenge. You can join the Limitless Trading Academy in there as well. It's a Discord channel right now where I have over 1,600 members in there, actively sharing charts, going live within Discord as well. So if I'm not live, these guys are there live. I marked out some verified SMC traders as well. This is the strategy we're going to discuss. And I analyze based on their charts they share in the Forex setup if they actually know what they're talking about. Based on that, I turn them into a verified trader, and you can ask them any type of question as well. So if I'm not around, they're around, and you have a lot of guys that are willing to help you, and we're doing it for the community. So you can find us there.
Awesome. Brilliant. Well, look, guys, a big thank you to Lorenzo for sharing with us today. Everything we discussed here, along with all those links that he's just mentioned, will be in the show notes. To find them, simply search for Lorenzo in the search box on tradingnut.com. Until next time, wish all my listeners trading happiness and success.
Cam, my man, you're a legend. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Hey folks, ever wonder what broker I use? Well, I use Hanko Trade. It was a no-brainer because I was looking for a broker with good trading conditions and one that wouldn't restrict my leverage. Now, by joining Hanko Trade, I've also cut down my trading costs significantly with their super low commission of just $1 per 100k. You can learn more at hankotrade.com or just click the link I've put in the description. All right, folks, there you have it. Interview done with Lorenzo. There's so much in there. That was so good. You've got to probably listen to that again. Now, we did shoot a video after the show, so if you want to go and check that out, you're going to see how he breaks things down on a price chart. Remember, next week we've got Tom Hugard coming up with a 2-part show. It's an epically long show, and it is so good. There's so many details in there. You're going to love it. So please stay tuned, stay subscribed for that. And remember, City Traders Imperium are running their competition, trying to find the best traders in the world to compete against each other. So if you guys think you've got a chance, then go and check it out over there at citytradersimperium.com. And Robot Builders Club doors are still open. If you're looking to automate or semi-automate your strategies, then go and check it out, and I can help you do it. All right, folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.